Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Sisi Radha Madhava ki jai, Sisi Radha Giridhari ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajaka Jaja Shudra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Jaja Shudra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrindi ki jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Samveda Bhakti ki jai. Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories assembled devotees. All glories assembled devotees. All glories, all glories. Sisi Guru and Sri Gauranga. What great acharya in our line was giving class, and as he was giving class, flowers started falling from the sky, covered his complete body. Then when the disciples pushed the flowers away, he was gone. Madhvacharya. Don't worry, I'm not going to do that. Can I have that Achman cup? Thank you. Okay, so this morning we're reading text 40. Revised schedule. Correct? 1840, correct?
Correct.
Let me pull this forward here. My goodness. Okay. And this. Suresh. Actually, we have to open that door just a little bit. Let some fresh air in here, please. Get some air in. It's actually, just want to get the beginning of this. Very nice. Try to keep you awake. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Shri Yaduruvacha Notsehe Jarasa Statum Antara Praptaya Tava Aviditva Sukham Gramyam Vaitrishnam Naiti Purushaha Shri Yaduruvacha Notsahe Jarasa Statum Antara Praptaya Tava Aviditva Sukham Gramyam Vaitrishyam Naiti Purusha. This sign to be turned a little bit this way. They're rubbernecking over here on the other side. Maybe just turn it just a little bit. These two seats are like for Narayan Rishi. Where's the other one coming soon? The two brothers. Okay. Shri Yaduruvacha Notsahe Jarasa Sthatum Antara Praptaya Tava Aviditva Sukham Gramyam Vaitrishyam Naiti Purushaha. Shri Yaduruvacha Notse Jarasa Sthatum Antara Praptaya Tava Aviditva Sukham Gramyam Vaitrishyam Naiti Purushaha. Anyone like to chant? Shri Yaduruvacha Notse Jarasa Statum Antara Praptaya Tava Aviditva Sukham Gramyam Vaitrishyam Naiti Purushaha. Notse Jarasa Statum Antara Praptaya Tava Aviditva Sukham Gramyam Vaitnityam naiti purushaha. Shri Yadu Vacha. Natse jarasta tatum. Antara praptayatava. Aviditya sukham gramyam. Vaitritsnyam naiti purusha. Shri Yadu Vacha. Notsae jarasa statum. Antara praptayatava. Avivita sukham gramyam. Vaitsritsnyam naiti purusha. Tava aviditva sukham gramyam. Anyone else in the temple room or above? Online. Yaduvacha.
Natsahe jarasastatum. Antara praptayatava.
Antara praptayatava.
Aviditva sukham gramyam.
Aviditva sukham gramyam.
Vaitrishnyam naiti purusha.
Vaitritsnyam naiti purusha. Anyone else? Shri Yadu Vacha. Natsae jarasasthatum. Antara praptayatava. Aviditva sukham gramyam. Vaitritsnyam naiti purusha. Shri Yadu Uvacha. Yadu, the eldest son of Yati, replied, Na utsahe. I am not enthusiastic. Okay, so when Balaram or someone asks you to do something, you can say, Na utsahe, na utsahe. So you can speak Sanskrit to them. Prabhu, na utsahe. Can you wash the pots? Na utsahe. Okay, there's one Sanskrit everyone's going to remember from today's verse, right? Na utsahe. Actually, they want to hear utsaha, utsaha. I'm enthusiastic. They want to hear the opposite, but just in case you want to do that, okay. Jalasa, with your old age and invalidity. Statum, to remain. Antara, while in youth. Praptaya, accepted. Tava, your. Aviditva, without experiencing. Sukham, happiness. Gramyam, material or bodily. Vaitritsnyam, indifference to material enjoyment. Na, does not. Iti, attain. Purushaha, a person. So here's Yadu replying. Yadu replied, My dear father, you have already achieved old age, although you were a young man. But I do not welcome your old age and invalidity, for unless one enjoys material happiness, one cannot attain renunciation. So, Prabhupada's explaining this point. Purport: renunciation of material enjoyment is the ultimate goal of human life. Therefore, the Varnashram institution is most scientific. It aims at giving one the facility to return home back to Godhead, which one cannot do without completely renouncing all connections with the material world. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Niskinchanasya Bhagavan Bhajonmakasya One who wants to go back home back to Godhead must be niskinchana, free from all affinity for material enjoyment. Brahmanyupamashrayam. Unless one is fully renounced, one cannot engage in devotional service or stay in Brahman. Devotional service is rendered on the Brahman platform. Therefore, unless one attains the Brahman platform or spiritual platform, one cannot engage in devotional service. Or in other words, a person engaged in devotional service is already on the Brahman platform. Mam cheo bivacharena bhakti yogena sevate saugunan samatitaitan brahma boyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Chapter 4, Bhagavad Gita 14:26. If one attains devotional service, therefore, he is certainly liberated. Generally, unless one enjoys material happiness, one cannot attain renunciation. Varnashram therefore gives the opportunity for gradual elevation. Yadu, the son of Mahārāja Yadu, explained that he was unable to give up his youth, for he wanted to use it to attain the renounced order in the future. Mahārāja Yadu was different from his brothers, as stated in the next verse. Turvashus chodita pitra druyuschanuscha bharata pratyachakyur adharma-jña. Mahārāja Yadu's brothers refused to accept their father's proposal because they were not completely aware of Dharma. To accept orders that follow religious principles, especially the orders of one's father, is very important. Therefore, when the brothers of Mahārāja Yadu refused their father's order, this was certainly irreligious. Mahārāja Yadu's refusal, however, was religious. As stated in the 10th canto, Yadoscha Dharma-shilasya. Mahārāja Yadu was completely aware of the principles of religion. The ultimate principle of religion is to engage oneself in devotional service to the Lord. Mahārāja Yadu was very eager to engage himself in the Lord's service, but there was an impediment. During youth, the material desires to enjoy the material senses is certainly present, and unless one fully satisfies these lusty desires in youth, there is a chance of one's being disturbed in rendering service to the Lord. We have actually seen that many sannyasis who accept sannyas prematurely, not having satisfied their material desires, fall down because they are disturbed. Therefore, the general process is to go through grihastha life and vanaprastha life and finally come to sannyas and devote oneself completely to the service of the Lord. Mahārāja Yadu was ready to accept his father's order and exchange youth for old age because he was confident that the youth taken by his father would be returned. But because his exchange would delay his complete engagement in devotional service, he did not want to accept his father's old age, for he was eager to achieve freedom from disturbances. Moreover, among the descendants of Yadu would be Lord Krishna. Therefore, Yadu was eager to see the Lord's appearance in his dynasty as soon as possible. Yadu refused to accept his father's proposal. This was not irreligious, however, because Yadu's purpose was to serve the Lord. Because Yadu was a faithful servant of the Lord, Lord Krishna appeared in his dynasty, as confirmed in the prayers of Kunti, Yado priyasyan vare. Yadu was very dear to Krishna, who was therefore eager to descend in Yadu's dynasty. In conclusion, so if you slept through the whole purport, listen to this, because it's in conclusion. It's like the cliff notes on the purport. In conclusion, Mahārāja Yadu should not be considered adharma-jña, ignorant of religious principles, as the next verse designates his brothers. He was like the four Sanakas, catuḥ-sana, who refused the order of their father, Brahmā, for the sake of a better cause. Because the four Kumāras wanted to engage themselves completely in the service of the Lord as brahmacārīs, their refusal to obey their father's order was not irreligious. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksuranminitam Dena Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Dena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashri Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Banchikapatarupaschya Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. All glories to the assembled devotees. By your ardent prayers and desires, I will try to say a few words. Yadu replied, my dear father, you have already achieved old age, although you also were a young man. But I do not welcome your old age and invalidity, for unless one enjoys material happiness, one cannot attain renunciation. So Prabhupada says the general, that's why Varnashram is there. It's, let's be realistic about things. Sometimes the example is given, if you're driving a car fast and you realize you're going in the wrong direction and you got to turn around. Now, is it a good idea to turn that car around at 65 miles an hour? Slow it down, and then turn around, okay? So in the same way, our progress in life, until we met our spiritual master and the Vaishnavas and Bhagavad Gita, we're going in the wrong direction quite fast. That's Kali Yuga. They're not so concerned about where they're going, it's just getting there faster. So, I don't know, I looked it up once, but go to hell in a basket, right? Do you know what that's referred to, where that basket comes from? He's going to hell in a basket. So we're going really fast in the wrong direction, and we realize, oh my goodness, I got to turn around. I'm going in the wrong direction. But it takes some time to make that turn, for most people. Unless one's a rare soul in their previous life. Handbasket, that's it. Go to hell in a handbasket. Do you know where that comes from? Okay. Like to. You may. On that. So the point is you got to slow down, and it takes some time to make that turn and then go back in the proper direction. That's what you turn around, you realize, oh my goodness, I'm going in the wrong direction. So you got to turn around and go back. So we've been going in the wrong direction, now we have to turn around. So Varnashram, first of all, in comparison to today's society, at least in the Varnashram society, we know what's the right direction. That's a good thing. He passed away, but remember Mr. Covey, Stephen Covey, in his book, he talks about two things, a watch and a compass. Now, which is more important in life, the watch or your compass? Why? Yeah, you got the right direction. You may be on time on time for the wrong thing. So first thing is your compass. You got to make sure. And he even pointed out in today's world, he's talking about business and so on, and getting ahead and moving ahead in life. If you don't have the compass first, you're moving. I can give you all the advice you want, and you'll go very quickly in the wrong direction. So make sure you got the compass. So Varnashram, Vedic culture, Sanatana Dharma, the compass is there. Oh yeah, this is the right direction. And then you got to head in that direction. Now the clock, that depends on the individual. Depends on the individual and their previous activities and previous lives and so on. Just like we see some people come to the Krishna conscious movement and they move very, very quickly in their Krishna consciousness, and we can understand in their previous lives they must have performed. Govardhan, could you move a little closer to Sankarshan and give him a brotherly embrace every time he starts going into samadhi? Thank you. Where was I? All right, Krishna. So clock, and everyone goes, oh, someone comes to the movement, and they wow, they must have been a devotee in their last life, because it is a continuum. And Prabhupada points that, I know in the Nectar Devotion, Prabhupada points it out, and there's other places also. And others, it just seems to take a long time. But that's just, every soul is an individual and moving along, but at least we're going in the right direction. So Mahārāja Yadu here is making the point that he knew, very, very important, he knew where he was at in life. Oh, that's Ramapati. Okay. No, that's good, that's good. I just was wondering. Sounds like Bengali on the patio, and I realize he's gone. Everyone has to have a good assessment of where they're at in life in order to make these choices about how fast or how slow you're going to go in Krishna consciousness. Now, we're not encouraging anyone to go slower than they need to go, nor are we encouraging anyone to go faster than they need to go. Just like, what's the speed limit on Grand Avenue? 35. Take it from an elderly person. He knows. A young person will say, 60. As fast as you can get away with, right? It's amazing. I sit out here in the morning chanting japa before I come in. Even at 4 o'clock in the morning, sometimes you got people racing up Grand Avenue, just full throttle. Even going that way to the ocean, you wonder if they're just going to like go right into the water. Just like, what is it? Why do you at 4 in the morning you got to like 65, 70 miles an hour down Grand Avenue? Why? What happened? So how fast we can go to point you can go too fast. And if you go too fast, sometimes what happens? Well, there's an accident. You have to be careful. Another Prabhupada refers to that here. Unfortunately, someone's very, very enthusiastic, but not really in touch with where they're at in Krishna consciousness. They may take on too much, maybe sannyas, maybe certain responsibilities, and then they start having difficulties. So one has to be very, very careful to know where they're at in their ability to progress in Krishna consciousness and be in the right place. Now, the oft-quoted example is from the 8th canto of the Bhagavatam. It's a particular pastime about an elephant and was it a crocodile or alligator? They are different, though. Was it a crocodile, Gajendra, or was it a alligator? Crocodile. Okay. And then he was pulled into the water, and that's not good, because the elephant's stronger on the land, not in the water. The crocodile is stronger in the water, but not in the land. So that's why he was realizing he was going to lose, because he was pulled into the water. In those purports, Prabhupada talks about one being very, very careful to understand where are they the strongest in Krishna consciousness in reference to their ashram. Someone could be actually not very strong at all as a sannyasi or a brahmachari, and someone could be very, very strong as a grihasta, and vice versa. One could be like it's an expression, cruising for a bruising. You remember that one? As a grihasta, you're very, very dangerous. You got to be careful. So you have to pick the right ashram where you're the strongest and make the most advancement. So Mahārāja Yadu is making that point here. For me to just give up my youth at this time, it's not a good idea. And he actually had a plan. That's an important thing too. Do you have a plan? Do you have a 10-year plan for your Krishna consciousness? There are people that, no, it's true. We don't think about it. So, I just got to get up and go to Mangalarti. Do you have a plan for your life? You're thinking, we all plan out all kinds of things. I plan to go to school, and I plan to do this, and I plan to do that, and economic plans. Do you have a spiritual plan? In Vedic culture, because your parents are there, and they're concerned about your spirituality, your guru was there, the Brahmins were there, your relatives were there. They all were involved in your life, whether you like it or not, right? Planning for if it's a good culture, your spiritual life. Oh yes, I'm sending my child to Gurukula, then after that he's going to do this, and just keeping an eye on things and so on. Everyone's got to have a plan. Govardhan, do you have a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan? Good. No, it's straight. No, let's not get it. You be quiet, okay? You be quiet. Hare Krishna. Okay. I'll ask you about your plan after class. And if you don't have one, we're going to give you one. Okay? So it's important to have a plan. Really plan your life out. It's very, very important. Very, very important. What do they say is failing to plan is planning to fail. Failing to plan is planning to fail. You have to have a plan. So something to think about and ask others about. So especially at certain junctions in your life when you're making a big decision or a big change. Huggy, come on, keep an eye on them. You got to ask others and be, and that's how it'll be successful. See, Yadu, he knew And therefore he was successful. He knew exactly what he needed to do. And that's why his father didn't get upset with him. Got upset with the other brothers because they said, hey, listen, I just want to party. I'm young and I don't want to be an old man now. I want to have a good time. They knew it, right? Youth is very, very fleeting. What do they say? Like, it starts around, 14, 15, 16, but by the time you're 25 or 30, the prime's gone, isn't it? I mean, it's gone before 30, isn't it, these days? You start thinking about being older when you're, like the energy and the enthusiasm, the insanity of youth to enjoy your senses starts getting old, even in your 20s.
Well, you can only go down to the art gym.
Right, you can try, but everyone looks at you kind of strange, It's like when old people go to a gym, it's like, what, their muscles, it's like they're just, So it's very, very fleeting. You only have a few years, and so they're thinking like that. I want to enjoy my... Therefore, he was very upset with them. But now Yadu wasn't upset at all, because he's very, very intelligent. He knows. And he wasn't using this as an excuse, because this idea can be an excuse also. Unless I enjoy my senses, I'll never be renounced. Well, there's got to be something else in the mix also. Otherwise, you'll end up following Rajneesh. Remember him? Like, blow your senses out completely, then you'll be renounced. So just enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. The dogs and cats have the same philosophy. Dogs and cats. Just enjoy your senses. And there has to be pram dishtva nivartate. There's got to be a higher taste. There's some truth to it, though, because there's a combination of two things. Getting the higher taste and failed attempts to enjoy in the material world. Because that's always happens. Every time you try and enjoy the material world, it's going to fail. Isn't that depressing? No? It is, actually, for a conditioned soul. Every attempt is going to fail sooner or later. Right? But that's it, a while. I said, Praladananda Swami, you're a spiritual master. You stay awake for this one. I was listening to a class yesterday, and he was saying it's like this. If I tell you, Naveen, that you're going to be a billionaire for 5 seconds, can you enjoy that? Okay, 5 minutes. Can you enjoy that? You're a billionaire for 5 minutes. You can't enjoy it. You just can't enjoy it. So the material world, it runs out. So whatever it is, it's going to go. Our youth is going to go. Our health is going to go. All our money, right? Whatever money we have, and we may not have much money. That's why you moved into the ashram. Couldn't afford the rent in San Diego. But look at some very, very wealthy people. Very wealthy people. Every single penny they have is going to be taken away from them. Sooner or later. Every penny, every building, every property, every relative, right? These are the fallible soldiers of the material world. What's a fallible soldier? Yeah, gets shot. Doesn't protect you. Soldiers are there to protect you, and the fallible ones, they didn't protect you. It's like having a bodyguard, and the bodyguard jumps one way, and it's the wrong way, and the bullet gets you. It's like, so all of these fallible soldiers, that's just what the Bhagavatam calls them, second canto. Fallible soldiers. Friends, family, property, money, youth, everything, strength, strong body. All these things gradually just go away. So it's failed. Everything's going to fail. Welcome to the club. Hare Krishna, you're in the material world. Every endeavor we have. So combination of the two things. That's what we're talking about. Two things. One is, that's not enough, because the enthusiasm and illusion of the conditioned soul is, I got to just keep trying. It'll never stop. The only lecture I was actually presently with Prabhupada was in Philadelphia, a Rath Yatra. And you remember the house? So I don't know how you fit. It's like trying to fit 2,000 people in this room. Can you imagine that? Like Janmashtami. So all the devotees are crowded in. It was so hot. And then I didn't get into the temple room, so they had this room across the hallway with a speaker in it. devotees are crowded in there. And guess what happens? ISKCON's 70s technology, the speaker breaks like that. So everyone kind of rushes out. I remember cramming my head, probably with about 15 other devotees in the doorway to watch Prabhupada give class. And the one thing I remember him saying, he'll give that example about the carrot being held in front of the donkey. The washerman's holding the carrot. And Prabhupada said, the donkey is thinking, one more step, and I'll get that carrot. And Prabhupada said, he's thinking that for millions of lifetimes. He never stops thinking it, just one more step, one more step, one more step. He never gets the carrot, and he always thinks, I'm going to get the carrot. So that's the illusion of the material world. So the point I'm making is that the repeated attempts and failures to enjoy the material world actually never ends. How long have you been trying? Does everyone have their entrance ticket from when they got into the material world? How old is yours? How many lifetimes? Billions and trillions. You still haven't stopped, right? No. So it's scary. It's actually very scary. So we need the param-vishtva nivartate, which means the higher taste. So the two of them have to be are cultivated. Understanding, and that's you go through Varnashram. Your brahmacārī life is the training and the knowledge, and you become a grihasta, and you're working, and sure enough, all the plans, they don't work out. They don't work out. So simultaneously to watching our material life fall apart, we need to be cultivating our Krishna consciousness, because at a certain point we go, you know something? Everything I've done has fallen apart. I just should be a devotee. And that's your vanapras and sannyas, or however the renunciation, your tyag and full engagement in devotional service. And that's exactly what Yadu is saying here. I have to go through, he's saying I personally, I have to go through this. I have to go through it for my own advancement in Krishna consciousness, but also Krishna is going to appear in my dynasty. So I need to make sure I have a dynasty and so on. He's very, very so. These are the reasons he gave, and therefore he was not at all adharmic or irreligious. Because to dissipate your 4 Indian families, especially in Indian culture, to dissipate your father is like what? You don't want to do it. I mean, it really should be in any culture, right? You know, right? Like that? It's like, whoa, this one you don't do. And the father should be dharmic, but still, there's so much respect for father. It's like, whoa. You know, even when we were growing up, my mother would always say, we do something wrong, my mother would say, wait till your father gets home. Right? Little kids, just wait till your father gets home. Oh, no. So, you know, the father is very heavy. So, and he's saying he wants him to take his youth. It's a request from the father, but no. And he didn't get angry with him because he understood it's a higher principle. Yadu was speaking on a higher principle than just, you know, following the father's instructions, because there's something more important than that. And that's the point, is you have to understand Dharma in this way. There's higher and lower principles of Dharma. And the example given is about the 4 Kumāras. Lord Brahmā, I mean, talk about a father. I mean, such one amazing devotee and the creator of this universe, and he asked them to propagate, not propagate, what's the word I'm thinking of? Propagate? You know, progeny and populate the universe. And they said, no. Progenitors, Prajapatis, like the other sages and so on. They said, no, we're not going to do it. Why? So we just want to be Krishna conscious. We want to stay brahmacārīs and preach all over the world. Okay. It's a higher principle. You can do it. It's a higher principle. So Yadu was conversant with all of this, and therefore he was excused, and there was no impropriety on his part. So, so I think we can open it up here. I've made the points I wanted to make. Very serious business. Prabhupada begins the purport by quoting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's verse about this niskinchanasya bhagavan bhajon mukhasya. If anyone's going to cross over the ocean of material existence, they have to become niskinchana, which means you just don't have any, Prabhupada said one place, he says, you have no plans in the material world. You just don't have any plans. You're just nothing. And therefore Prabhupada was saying that Rupa Goswami, and he is as niskinchana as Ramananda Roy. Well, the point is, one's living under a tree, and one is living in opulence, but they're both completely niskinchana because they're fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So it's not just, it means you don't have any money, you're poor, like that.
Is that Ramananda Roy, after all, he's household and everything, he's not as renounced as Rupa. So you would say, no, but Ramananda Roy is just as renounced as Rupa. Okay. Not that Rupa.
Oh, you mean
Rupa
my language? I thought I got the wrong person.
Well,
so, I'm sorry.
just reverse it.
Okay.
Rupa Goswami, he's just as renounced as Ramananda Roy. Don't you see the problem with that? I mean, the doubt is about Ramananda Roy, not about Rupa Goswami.
So they're both on the same platform. So it's not a question of, because you see everything belonging to Krishna and so on and so on and so on. So that's where we have to get to that platform. And it may take some time, but we have to keep always staying in the right direction, keep checking our compass. Check the clock too, because time's running out. Check the calendar, check your watch, make sure you're on time. We've got a problem here in this temple, devotees not being on time for Mangalartik and Guru Puja. You notice that in greeting the deities? There's a problem with that. It's a problem. So from today on in, everyone should check their clocks. And really we got to check the clocks because this clock, that clock, and the one in the puja room and the kitchen are all on different times. So it's quite a hurdle there. So if anyone wants to set them all straight sometime today, please do. Okay, so I'll open it up. There must be some discussion, questions, corrections.
Forgive me, but I have an editorial question that I think maybe Brahmāpati can help me with. In the middle of this purport, we have this sentence. In conclusion, Mahārāja Yadu should not be considered adharma-jña, ignorant of religious principles. But what this says is, adharma-jña, the way it's written is, he knows adharma. Adharma-jña, rather than dharma-jña. Someone who is not dharma-jña, right? Isn't that what it means? Because the way they're separated, the two words.
Yeah.
Adharma-jña. When you have something like that, the second thing, the jña is he knows what the previous thing is, which is adharma. You see the problem? So the hyphen is very important. Two hyphens. A-dharma-jña. See, I get my Sanskrit editor over here is agreeing. So I will change Prabhupada's books in that regard. Because this was done by a Sanskrit editor. He just guessed. Prabhupada just spoke it in. You see what I'm saying? So I won't get in trouble.
Good point. Anything else? Any different points? Yes. The microphone?
Thank you. I was appreciating the point. It was there, and you were also bringing it up and adding to it. There's just this concept that you have to have something to give it up. And in the context of society, like in the traditional Vedic culture, you see that people actually had a family life that was very rich, and like you were saying, the respect for the father, and to some degree that's still there in better cultures, right, where there's more culture. But so therefore, you see like the sannyasi would come and say, give me your son, and the parents would be totally devastated. And for the son, it was like that teenage rebellion. They get to go off and do some dharmic tapasya, and devotional service, whereas now everything is just, so weak, like there, it's just so muddled. So, it's actually an important point, because otherwise the rebellion just becomes intoxication or just getting into loose habits or something, There's not like a clear path of I'm renouncing the comforts of home for a higher spiritual path, but it just becomes like falling in the mud, out of the mud into the mud, sort of.
Right. Yep. That was the point of the compass, to know actually heading in the right direction and staying on the course like that. Stay the course. That's what they say. Stay the course. I think is that a nautical term? Maybe it's a nautical term. Stay the course. You just stay on the course. Slow, fast, doesn't matter as much as the fact that we're on the course. Just stay the course. Stay in the, Prabhupada would say, stay in the association of devotees. Just stay, and then eventually you'll get there. Just stay on the boat. It may be rocky, but just stay on the boat. Just hold on. You'll get there. You'll get there. Like that. Govardhan Das.
So you're mentioning we should have a 5-year plan and 10-year plan. So who makes that decision? You know, you say your desire, and then you have to speak to your guru, and then or send your devotees. But sorry, I'm just trying to get this. So like, let's say it's not going to happen, but I want to get married. And then I speak to my guru, and then, you know, they discuss it, and then is that how it goes?
Well, no, the point being is, yes, we should always consult those who are wise when we're making our decisions in life. And who that is going to vary according to what in particular you're discussing, you know, or what decision you're trying to make. Just like if you're trying to make a financial decision, who do you talk to? Your dentist? You're going to the dentist today, right? Is that early? Oh, okay. But no, you speak to your financial advisor. Someone's got a lot of money. Don't talk to someone who's poor. Or if you want to talk about getting married, talk to happy grihastas and unhappy grihastas. You know, talk to your parents and talk to all kinds of people. You know, so you talk to the right authorities who can give you some, and then ultimately you have to decide yourself. But you're asking all these people for help, give you the information you need to personally make an intelligent decision in life. So, to think that we can figure it all out ourselves, it's just like if you're sick and you say, why do I have to go to a doctor and ask a doctor what's wrong? Like, probably just. Well, they always don't. They joke about it sometimes, but it's a bad joke, a serious joke. Oh, I got a problem. I go on. What's that called? PubMed. There's a website, and everyone goes to. They joke about it. It all turns out everyone thinks they have cancer because they give all the symptoms. You know, you got this problem. I must have cancer. You know, this is like you can't self-diagnose. That's the point I'm making. Don't self-diagnose your diseases, material or spiritual, or your problems. Ask. You know. Ask. That's what it's for. Your good friends are for, and parents, and elders, and uncles, and aunts, and, you know, your spiritual master, and take good advice. You know, it's like that. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu. In back.
You know, this is a little insight into don't tell and message.
Okay. You have a question about the class? You can ask it first. He's gonna finish it off with a hand
Hare
basket.
Krishna. So you mentioned we should have a plan, but then also we have to be nishkinchan. So how do we fit both of them?
Well, niskinchana doesn't mean you don't have a plan. It means you don't have a plan to enjoy the material world. So, and you have to have a bunch of plans because life is multidimensional. What's your plan for your health? Eat pizza 3 meals a day? You know, what is your plan for your health? What's the plan for your physical health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, your finances, according to where you are in life, your job? You both are working, right? You're not working anymore? Is that why you grew a beard? That means you're unemployed? He's got the unemployment beard. Okay. Only kidding, Prabhu. But see, you start to make a plan. You got to find work. So you got to plan. So all these different aspects of life, you make a plan and work that plan. It's very, very important. It helps you stay enlivened. If you don't have a plan, you're just kind of like, it's like a boat where the sails are down. It's just kind of going this way. The currents are just carrying it here and there. Have a plan and keep working at it. Very important. And Prabhupada said in the very beginning of the purport, Vedic culture is, the plan is renunciation, getting out of the material world. That's the ultimate goal of life. Ultimate meaning the most important, the one that will bring the greatest happiness. You know, you can get all these synonyms of ultimate. It's the ultimate goal of life. It's what's going to really make us a success and happy and so on. So let's have plans for that goal. And everything, as I tell people when I'm doing pujas sometimes, at the end of the puja, you say, oh, you all got a long list of what you want from Krishna. Everyone's got a long list. But we just encourage you on the very top of the list, your spiritual welfare. Because if you take care of that, everything else is just going to fall into place. And if you don't take care of that, it doesn't matter what you're praying for. So that's the point. Handbasket, yes.
Okay. So, I Googled, what is the origin of the expression, the world is going to hell in a handbasket? And here is the reply. Reputedly, it was first uttered by someone named Mr. Anand Eames in Ireland in 1730. While carrying a child in his handbasket, in response to Jonathan Swift's modest proposal. Okay, what is Jonathan Swift's modest proposal? Have you ever read it? You've heard of it? I heard of it, but I didn't know what it was. So at that time in England, there was a lot of poverty and things weren't going so well. So here was his modest proposal and it was, food was rare and people couldn't afford, eat and everything. So he suggested that, I don't know, this is kind of, you can see where things were at that time, that people eat their children, and this way they won't have to pay anything to support them anymore, and that will solve the food problem. So here's a guy carrying his child in a basket, and he was asked, "Where are you going?" I'm going to hell in a handbasket, or we're both going to hell in a handbasket. So that's, can you believe it?
Wow.
Pretty far out, huh?
It's not the Jonathan Swift who was the author, is it? Some other.
This was in response to, in other words, the idea that
Wow.
the idea that some guy was carrying his child.
Wow. Very so much so. Well, on that happy note, we're going to end Bhagavatam class. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We're going back to Godhead in a flowered airplane. There we go. Hare Krishna.